before you drift into the night, before your thoughts fully settle, before the world around you slowly fades into silence, I want you to pause for just a moment and gently allow yourself to arrive here, in this space, in this breath, in this very now, because something inside you already knows. It is time to let go. It is time to soften. It is time to release everything you have been holding for far too long. Every emotion you never had time to feel. Every burden you carried quietly. Every thought that kept returning even when you tried to rest. And as you listen, you do not need to fix anything. You do not need to understand anything. You do not need to do anything at all. Just simply be here and let the sound of these words become like a soft wave, washing gently over your mind, calming every corner of your awareness, slowing everything down until even your breathing begins to feel lighter, slower, deeper, because right now, this moment is not asking anything from you. It is offering you something very rare, something very needed. Emotional rest, deep healing rest, the kind of rest where your mind stops fighting, where your heart stops carrying, where your body finally understands that it is safe, safe to release, safe to relax, safe to let go. And as you lie there or sit there, wherever you are right now, you might begin to notice that your thoughts are not as loud as they were a few moments ago. They are softening, fading, drifting further away, like distant echoes in a quiet valley. And with every breath you take, something inside you begins to settle, not because you are forcing it, but because you are allowing it, allowing your nervous system to slow down, allowing your heartbeat to find its natural rhythm, allowing your mind to step back from everything it has been holding on to, and you may not even realize it yet, but this is the beginning of healing, not loud, not dramatic, but quiet, gentle, almost invisible, like the first light of dawn touching a sleeping world. Because emotional healing does not always come with answers. Sometimes it comes with surrender. Sometimes it comes when you stop trying to understand every feeling, and instead you simply let yourself feel safe enough to rest. And right now, in this moment, you are safe. You are not expected to solve your past. You are not required to carry your future. You are only invited to rest in this present breath and let it hold you, let it support you, let it carry you deeper and deeper into stillness. And as you continue listening, you might notice something even more gentle happening, your body beginning to release tension you did not even know you were holding, your shoulders softening, your jaw relaxing, your forehead smoothing out, your hands becoming heavier, warmer, calmer, as if your entire body is slowly remembering what it feels like to let go, to surrender, to trust the process of rest, and every exhale you take becomes like a soft letting go of stress, of worry, of emotional weight that no longer belongs to this moment. And perhaps there are emotions within you, quietly waiting, sadness that was never fully expressed, stress that was never fully released, memories that still echo in your mind, but here, in this space, you do not need to push them away, and you do not need to hold on to them either. You can simply allow them to exist, and then gently let them dissolve like mist disappearing in the morning sun, because healing does not always mean holding on tighter. Sometimes healing means loosening your grip, just enough for peace to enter. And as your breath continues, slow, steady, natural, you may begin to feel a soft distance forming between you and your thoughts, as if you are no longer inside the noise, but simply observing it from a place of calm, a place of safety, a place of stillness. And in that space, you may realize something very important. You are not your stress. You are not your emotions. You are not your past. You are the awareness that gently holds all of it. And that awareness is already peaceful, already whole, already capable of deep rest. So now, without effort, without resistance, just allow yourself to go deeper. As each word becomes softer, each pause becomes longer, each breath becomes slower, and you may begin to feel as if you are gently sinking, not downwards, but inwards, into a space inside yourself where nothing is required, nothing is demanded, and everything is simply allowed to be. And in that space, emotional healing begins to unfold naturally, like a quiet river finding its way home. And now, as you continue to listen, there is nothing you need to chase, nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to become, because in this very moment, you are already exactly where you are meant to be, and slowly, gently, almost as if the entire world is beginning to soften around you, you may start to notice that something inside you is finally exhaling, a breath you may have been holding for hours, days, maybe even years. And with that exhale comes a quiet permission, the permission to stop holding everything together, just for tonight, just for this moment, just for this breath. Because you see, so much of what you have been carrying was never meant to stay inside you forever. Emotions that were never fully expressed, thoughts that kept repeating without resolution, memories that still echo in the background of your mind, all of it quietly stored in the body, quietly shaping the way you feel, the way you sleep, the way you breathe. And yet, even with all of that, there is still a deeper part of you, a calm presence within you that has never been broken, never been lost, never been overwhelmed. And that part is here with you now, gently reminding you that you are safe enough to let go. So as you continue to listen, I don't want you to try. I don't want you to perform. I don't want you to do anything at all. Instead, just allow the sound of these words to become like a slow-moving river, carrying away tension, carrying away emotional weight, carrying away everything your mind no longer needs to hold on to tonight. And if your thoughts wander, that is completely okay. You do not need to control them. You only need to notice and return softly, gently, back to this moment, back to this breath, back to this feeling of being here and now. Begin to notice your body, not with judgment, not with analysis, but with gentle awareness. Your forehead, can it soften just a little? Your eyes, can they rest more deeply? Your jaw, can it unclench even slightly? Your shoulders, can they drop just a little away from your ears? And as you do this, there is nothing you are forcing. It is happening naturally. as if your body remembers something your mind had forgotten, that it is allowed to rest, it is allowed to stop, it is allowed to be held by something greater than itself. And with every breath you take, you are not just breathing air, you are breathing release, you are breathing permission, you are breathing softness back into places that have been tight for too long, and with every exhale, something inside you begins to drift further away. Stress, worry, emotional heaviness, all slowly becoming less defined, less intense, less present, as if they are no longer the center of your awareness. Because right now, you are entering a different state, a quieter state, a deeper state, where your nervous system begins to slow down, where your heart begins to trust stillness again, where your mind no longer needs to solve everything at once. And in this state, healing does not feel like effort, it feels like surrender, it feels like allowing, it feels like finally giving yourself permission to not carry what was never meant to be carried alone. And maybe, just maybe, you can begin to imagine that every emotion you have held inside is like a small wave inside the ocean of you. Some waves are strong, some are gentle, some rise quickly and fall slowly, but all of them are temporary. None of them define the ocean itself, and you are the ocean, vast, deep, steady, capable of holding everything, yet untouched at your core. So even if sadness arises, you do not need to push it away. Even if heaviness appears, you do not need to resist it, because here, in this space, you are learning something new, something deeply healing, that you can feel without becoming the feeling. You can observe without becoming overwhelmed. You can allow without losing yourself. And as you continue to listen, you may notice a subtle shift, a softness spreading through your chest, a quiet loosening in your stomach, a gentle warmth in your hands or legs, as your body slowly begins to trust this moment more and more. And it is okay if you feel sleepy. It is okay if your thoughts become slower. It is okay if your awareness begins to fade in and out like waves on a shore, because this is exactly where healing sleep begins. A sleep not just of the body, but of the emotional mind. A sleep where the nervous system resets, where emotional residue begins to dissolve, where the weight of the day no longer follows you into tomorrow. And you do not need to try to make this happen, because it is already happening, naturally, gently, quietly. And now, as you sink deeper into this experience, you might notice that your breathing has changed, perhaps slower, perhaps softer, perhaps more natural than it has been all day. And with each breath, you are being guided further inward into a place within you that is untouched by stress, untouched by fear, untouched by everything that has been bothering you, a place that has always been there, waiting patiently for you to return. And tonight, you are returning, not through effort, but through surrender, not through thinking, but through letting go. And as you continue to listen, everything else begins to matter less. The outside world fades into distance, and only this moment remains, this breath, this stillness, this gentle unfolding of peace, and you may not even realize exactly when it happens. But slowly, you begin to feel lighter, not because everything is solved, but because everything is being held by something deeper than the mind, something quieter than thought, something more peaceful than emotion. And in that realization, you drift deeper and deeper, into emotional healing sleep. And now, as you go deeper into this experience, something very quiet, something very subtle is beginning to happen inside your mind, almost like a distant noise slowly fading away into the background, not suddenly, not forcefully, but gently, naturally, as if your thoughts are no longer standing so close to you anymore, and instead they are drifting further and further away, becoming softer, becoming lighter, becoming less important with every passing breath. And you do not need to stop your thoughts. You do not need to control them. You do not even need to understand them right now. Because in this moment, you are not here to think. You are here to rest. You are here to soften. You are here to allow your entire inner world to slow down in its own natural rhythm. And as that happens, you may begin to notice something very comforting, that even when thoughts appear, they no longer pull you in the same way. They pass like clouds moving slowly across a wide open sky, and you remain steady beneath them, calm, untouched, peaceful, and now gently bring your awareness to your breathing again. Not to change it, not to fix it, but simply to notice it. And as you notice it, you may feel that your breath is already becoming slower, deeper, more natural, as if your body itself is remembering how to breathe in a way that supports rest. And with every inhale, there is a quiet sense of receiving calm, receiving stillness, receiving softness into places that have been tense for too long. And with every exhale, there is a gentle release, a letting go of everything you no longer need to carry into this moment. And perhaps now, you might begin to feel your body in a slightly different way, as if it is becoming heavier, not in a discomforting way, but in a deeply relaxing way, like sinking slowly into something soft and safe. And your muscles, the ones that have been holding tension throughout the day, they no longer need to hold on so tightly. Your face can soften, your neck can relax, your shoulders can drop, your chest can open, and your whole body can begin to feel supported, as if the ground beneath you is holding you completely, without effort, without judgment, just holding you, allowing you to rest. And as your body begins to relax more deeply, something even more important is happening within your emotional space, because emotions that were once loud or overwhelming or heavy are now beginning to lose their intensity, not because you are pushing them away, but because you are no longer feeding them with resistance, and instead you are allowing them to simply exist. And in that allowing, something very powerful happens. They begin to dissolve slowly, gently, like salt disappearing into warm water. And maybe there are feelings inside you that you have not fully expressed, moments from your past that still echo quietly in your mind, conversations you replay, situations you wish had gone differently, emotions you held in because there was no safe space to release them. But right now, in this space, you do not need to go back there. You do not need to relive anything. You only need to allow those feelings to soften, to loosen, to lose their grip on your present moment. What you are learning right now is not avoidance. it is release. It is not suppression. It is gentle acceptance, the kind that says, yes, this was felt, but I do not need to carry it forever. And as that understanding settles deeper into you, there is a quiet relief that begins to spread through your system, like a soft wave of peace moving slowly through your entire being. And now, imagine for a moment that your mind is like a vast open sky, and every thought, every memory, every feeling is simply a bird passing through that sky. Some fly close, some fly far, some stay for a moment, some disappear quickly, but none of them define the sky itself. And you are that sky, endless, spacious, untouched, no matter what passes through. And in this realization, something inside you begins to settle even further, because you no longer feel the need to attach yourself so tightly to every thought, every emotion, every sensation. Instead, you begin to observe them with distance, with softness, with calm awareness, and that awareness itself becomes your resting place. And as you continue to rest here, you may begin to feel small shifts in your body again, perhaps a tingling in your hands, a warmth in your chest, a heaviness in your legs, or a gentle floating sensation. And all of this is completely natural, because your body is now moving into a deeper state of relaxation, a state where healing begins to happen without effort, without force, without even needing your attention. And the more you allow yourself to simply be here, the more your nervous system begins to understand that it is safe to slow down, safe to stop preparing, safe to stop reacting, safe to simply exist in stillness. And in that stillness, your entire being begins to reset, like a system returning to balance, like waves calming after a storm, like the sky clearing after heavy clouds. And now, you may even notice that your awareness is becoming softer, less sharp, more diffused, as if you are no longer fully inside your thoughts, but instead gently floating around them, observing them from a distance that feels peaceful, safe, and quiet. And this is the beginning of deep emotional healing sleep, where your mind no longer works in overdrive, where your emotions no longer feel overwhelming, where your body finally gets the message that it does not need to stay alert anymore. And as this continues, there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to follow, nothing you need to achieve, because everything is already unfolding exactly as it should. Your breath is guiding you. Your body is guiding you. Your awareness is guiding you deeper into rest. And now, slowly, you might begin to feel as if time itself is becoming less important. The past feels further away. The future feels quieter, and only this present moment remains soft, slow, peaceful. And in this moment, you are not defined by your thoughts. You are not defined by your emotions. You are not defined by anything except this simple truth. You are here, and you are safe. And that safety is what allows everything else to soften. And that softness is what allows everything else to release. And that release is what allows you to drift even deeper into calm, into peace, into healing sleep. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper into this gentle state, something far more quiet, far more powerful begins to take place beneath the surface of your awareness, something you do not need to understand and something you do not need to control, because this is not happening in your thinking mind. This is happening in a much deeper place, your subconscious mind, the part of you that has always been working silently, even when you were not aware of it, even when you were busy, even when you were overwhelmed. And right now, in this peaceful moment, your subconscious is beginning to open, not in a sudden way, not in a dramatic way, but in a soft, natural, effortless way, like a door slowly unlocking after being closed for a long time. And behind that door, there is space, there is release, there is quiet healing that does not require words, does not require analysis, does not require effort, only permission, your permission to rest. And as you listen, you may begin to feel that your thoughts are becoming even more distant, almost like background whispers that no longer demand your attention. And in their place, there is a growing sense of stillness, a deeper silence, a calm that feels like it has always been there, just waiting beneath everything else, waiting for you to notice it, waiting for you to return to it. And now, very gently, allow your awareness to soften around any emotional weight you have been carrying, not to fight it, not to fix it, but simply to acknowledge that it exists, and then allow it to loosen, because your subconscious does not heal through force, it heals through release, through safety, through surrender. And maybe there are parts of your past that still feel heavy, moments you did not fully process, emotions you had no time to express, situations where you had to stay strong when you did not feel strong at all. And all of that, all of it, has been stored quietly within you. But right now, you are giving your mind and body a new message, a message of safety, a message that says, you do not need to hold this anymore. And as that message begins to sink deeper, you may notice a subtle shift, a softening in your chest, a lightness in your stomach, a relaxation spreading slowly through your entire body, because your system is beginning to understand that it can finally let go of survival mode. It can finally step out of tension. It can finally stop preparing for what is next and simply be here. And now, imagine your subconscious mind as a deep ocean beneath the surface of your awareness, and all your thoughts, all your emotions, all your memories are like waves above that ocean, sometimes strong, sometimes calm, sometimes unpredictable. But deep beneath it all, the ocean itself remains still, steady, vast, untouched, and that deep ocean is you. And as you rest in this awareness, something very important begins to happen. Your subconscious starts reorganizing, not in a way you can see, not in a way you can think about, but in a way you can feel. As emotional tension begins to loosen, as old stress patterns begin to soften, as your inner system begins to return to balance. And you do not need to guide this process, because your body already knows how to heal. Your mind already knows how to restore itself. Your subconscious already knows how to release what is no longer needed. And all it needs from you is permission to rest. And so, with every breath you take, you are not just breathing air, you are breathing healing into your system, and with every exhale, You are releasing layers of emotional residue that you may not even have words for, and that is perfectly okay, because healing does not always need language. Sometimes healing is silent, sometimes healing is felt, sometimes healing is simply a quiet shift inside. And now, as your awareness continues to soften, you may begin to feel as if your mind is no longer holding on to anything tightly. Everything becomes more spacious, more open, more distant. And even your sense of identity begins to relax, not disappear, just soften, so that you are no longer defined by stress or by thoughts or by emotions, but instead you are simply awareness, resting, observing, being. And in this state, your subconscious begins to do what it naturally knows how to do. It begins to release emotional imprints that were formed during moments of stress. It begins to soften old patterns that no longer serve you. It begins to create space inside you where peace can grow again, where calm can return, where balance can be restored. And you do not need to visualize anything perfectly. You do not need to try to control the process, because the more you allow yourself to simply relax, the more deeply this healing unfolds on its own. And now, as you go even deeper, you may feel a gentle sense of distance from everything, as if your thoughts are further away. Your body is heavier, your breathing slower, and your awareness quieter. And in that quietness, something very beautiful begins to emerge, a sense of emotional neutrality, where nothing feels overwhelming anymore, where nothing feels too heavy to hold, where everything simply exists and passes and softens. And now your subconscious continues its work gently, steadily, quietly, like waves smoothing the edges of stone over time, like night gently restoring the world after a long day, like silence healing what noise could never resolve. And as this continues, you may begin to feel something very subtle, a sense of emotional space opening inside you, space where tension used to be, space where worry used to live, space where old emotional weight used to stay. And that space is not empty in a negative way. It is peaceful, it is calm, it is ready to be filled with rest. And now, as you rest in this deeper level of awareness, you may no longer feel the need to follow thoughts at all. They come, they go, and you remain steady, calm, present. And this is the quiet truth your subconscious is beginning to understand. You are safe now. You do not need to hold everything anymore. You can let go. And as that truth settles deeper, you drift further into healing sleep, into emotional release, into peace that does not need effort, just surrender. And now, as you continue to rest even deeper, something very real, something very physical, something very quiet is beginning to change inside your body, not in a sudden way, not in a noticeable way at first, but in a slow, natural, deeply intelligent way, as your nervous system begins to soften and shift and gently step out of the state of tension it may have been holding for much longer than you realized. And you do not need to guide this process, because your body already knows what to do. Your nervous system already knows how to return to balance. It only needed one thing from you: safety. And right now, in this moment, you are giving it exactly that. Safety to slow down, safety to stop preparing, safety to stop reacting, safety to simply rest. And as that safety begins to register inside your system, something begins to change. Your breathing becomes slightly deeper, slightly slower, more natural, as if your body is remembering its original rhythm, the rhythm of calm, the rhythm of rest, the rhythm of peace. And your heart, it does not need to hold itself so tightly anymore. It begins to soften, to settle, to beat in a more steady, more peaceful way, as the urgency inside you begins to fade, not because anything outside has changed, but because something inside you is finally letting go. And now, very gently, you may begin to feel your muscles, those areas that have been holding silent tension throughout the day, your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, your back, your hands, your legs, all beginning to release slowly, layer by layer, as if each breath is helping your body let go of something it no longer needs. And maybe you notice heaviness or warmth or a sense of sinking, and that is completely okay, because this heaviness is not discomfort. This heaviness is release. It is your body finally stepping out of survival mode and into rest. And now, imagine for a moment that every emotion you have carried today, every stress response, every worry, every moment of tension is like a small energetic imprint stored inside your body. And with each slow exhale, those imprints begin to dissolve, not all at once, but gently, one layer at a time. Stress softening, worry loosening, emotional pressure fading, and as this happens, you may not even realize it fully, but your entire system is beginning to recalibrate itself, like a quiet reset happening beneath awareness, like a soft restoration process unfolding naturally within you. And now, bring your awareness to your chest and notice how it feels, not to judge it, not to change it, just to feel it. And you may begin to sense a subtle opening there, a slight expansion, a softness that was not there a few moments ago, as if something inside is finally exhaling after being held for too long. And that exhale is emotional release. And now, gently, allow your attention to move to your stomach area, and you may notice that it is softening too, because the body often stores emotional tension in subtle places, in the gut, in the abdomen, in the core. And now, those layers are beginning to loosen, to relax, to unwind, and you do not need to analyze this, because the body does not heal through thinking. It heals through allowing, through rest, through safety. And now, very softly, imagine that your entire nervous system is like a delicate web of light inside your body, and when stress builds up, that web becomes tight, reactive, sensitive. But now, as you rest deeper, that web begins to loosen, to expand, to return to its natural state of balance. And with each breath, that expansion continues. Inhale, calm entering. Exhale, tension leaving. Inhale, softness spreading. Exhale, emotional weight dissolving. And now, you may begin to feel something very subtle, a sense of distance from emotional intensity, as if feelings that once felt close now feel further away, not erased, not ignored, just no longer overwhelming. And in that distance, there is peace. And this is your nervous system learning something new, that it does not need to stay in protection mode, that it does not need to stay in tension, that it can relax even when everything is not perfect. And as this learning settles deeper into your body, you may feel waves of relaxation moving through you, sometimes in the head, sometimes in the chest, sometimes in the hands or legs, gentle waves of release flowing through your system like a quiet healing current. And now you might notice your thoughts becoming even softer, less structured, more dreamlike, as your brain begins to slow its activity, not shutting down, but easing into rest, the way a day gently turns into night. And in this state, emotional processing begins to happen naturally, without effort, without focus, without control. Your nervous system begins sorting through what is safe to keep and what is safe to release, and you are not doing this consciously. It is happening beneath awareness, where deep healing always takes place. And now, you may feel as if your entire body is becoming lighter in waves, not suddenly, but gradually, as emotional weight begins to lift, layer after layer, and with each layer there is more space inside you, more calm, more stillness, and now even your sense of time begins to soften, as if minutes no longer matter, as if nothing outside this moment exists, only this breath, only this softness, only this deep internal release. And now, you are entering a very important stage of this experience, a stage where your body is no longer holding on to yesterday, a stage where your nervous system is no longer reacting to stress, a stage where emotional residue begins to fully loosen its grip. And as that happens, you may feel a deep sense of relief beginning to emerge, subtle at first, then stronger, like a quiet understanding spreading through your entire being. You are not who you were in your stress. You are not your tension. You are not your emotional weight. You are the awareness beneath all of it. And that awareness is calm. That awareness is safe. That awareness is already at rest. And now, as your body continues to soften, as your nervous system continues to settle, as emotional weight continues to leave your system, you may begin to feel yourself drifting even further into deeper and deeper relaxation, where thoughts fade, where sensations soften, where only peace remains. And now, as you continue to drift deeper, even beyond the weight of thought, even beyond the softness of emotion, something very quiet, something very profound is happening within you. A gentle release, a natural unwinding, as if your entire being is finally beginning to understand that it no longer needs to hold on to everything it has carried for so long. And you do not need to search for what you are releasing, because the mind does not always know the full story of what the body has stored. The body remembers in silence. The nervous system remembers in sensation. And right now, both are beginning to let go. Slowly, gently, safely. And perhaps there are emotions within you that never had the chance to fully express themselves. Moments where you stayed strong when you were tired. Moments where you smiled when you felt heavy inside. Moments where you moved forward even though something inside you still needed time to heal. And all of that has been carried quietly within your system. But now you are no longer in that moment. Now you are here, safe, still, supported. And as that awareness settles into you, something begins to soften even more deeply. Not just in your thoughts, not just in your emotions, but in your entire energetic system, like a slow unwinding from the inside out. And now, imagine that every layer of stress you have ever experienced, every emotional imprint, every tension response, every silent worry is like a thin layer wrapped gently around your inner self, and with each breath you take, those layers begin to loosen, not ripped away, not forced, but softened, released, allowed to dissolve in their own time. And as this happens, you may feel a subtle sensation of drifting, like your awareness is no longer fixed in one place, but gently expanding, spreading, becoming lighter, as if the boundaries of stress are no longer holding you tightly. And now, very gently, allow your attention to rest in your breath again, not changing it, not controlling it, just noticing it. And you may find that your breath has already slowed down, already deepened, already softened, as if your body is guiding you into rest without needing instruction. And with every inhale, there is a quiet sense of receiving peace, receiving stillness, receiving space inside you that was previously occupied by tension. And with every exhale, there is a gentle letting go of emotional residue, of mental noise, of energetic heaviness that no longer belongs to this moment. And now, something even deeper begins to unfold, a sense that you are no longer holding yourself together in the same way, because your system is learning something very important right now, that it is safe to loosen, safe to soften, safe to stop bracing, safe to simply be. And as that truth sinks deeper into your awareness, you may begin to feel your body becoming heavier, not in a burdensome way, but in a deeply comforting way, like sinking into something warm, something safe, something that holds you without asking anything from you. And in that heaviness, there is relief, because heaviness here does not mean stress. It means surrender. And now, as your awareness continues to soften, you may notice your thoughts becoming more distant, less structured, more like passing impressions than solid ideas. And this is a very natural sign that your mind is moving into a deeper state of rest. And in this state, you are no longer processing the world in the same way. You are no longer analyzing, no longer reacting, no longer holding on to mental tension. Instead, you are simply observing existence in its softest form. And now, imagine that inside your body there is a natural intelligence, a healing intelligence, that knows exactly how to restore balance. And right now, that intelligence is gently working, not urgently, not forcefully, but calmly, like nature healing itself after a long storm. And you do not need to direct it, because it already knows the way. And now, you may feel waves of relaxation moving through different parts of your body, sometimes in your face, sometimes in your chest, sometimes in your arms or legs, soft waves, gentle pulses of release, as your nervous system continues to unwind, and with each wave, something emotional is being released, not always something you can name, not always something you can define, but something you can feel leaving. And now, very gently, you may begin to feel a sense of spaciousness inside you, as if there is more room within your awareness, more openness, more silence, more peace. And this spaciousness is not emptiness in a negative way. It is freedom. Freedom from emotional compression, freedom from mental overload, freedom from carrying too much for too long. And now, as you rest in this expanding space, you may notice that even your sense of self begins to soften, not disappear, but relax, as if the edges of identity are becoming less tight, less rigid, more fluid. And in that fluidity, there is peace, because you are no longer confined by tension. You are no longer defined by stress. You are simply awareness, resting. And now, something very important begins to happen. Your subconscious begins to reorganize emotional experiences, not by replaying them, but by releasing their charge, by dissolving their intensity, by letting your system understand that the past is not happening now. And as that understanding spreads through your body, there is a quiet emotional lightness emerging, subtle at first, then deeper, like something heavy being gently lifted from your system. And now, you may feel as if your entire being is slowly becoming weightless, as if gravity itself is loosening its hold on your emotional body. And in that weightlessness, there is a feeling of floating, of drifting, of being carried, not by effort, but by surrender. And now, as your awareness continues to soften, you may begin to feel as if even your thoughts are fading into the distance, like echoes disappearing into still air, and in their absence, there is something very peaceful emerging, silence. Deep silence, healing silence, and within that silence, your system continues to restore itself, quietly, gently, completely. And now, you are no longer actively doing anything at all. You are simply being, resting, healing, letting go. And as you drift deeper into this state, even the idea of effort disappears, and only peace remains. Only softness remains, only deep healing sleep remains. And now, as everything continues to soften, something very quiet begins to happen inside your awareness, almost like a final layer of tension, something you did not even realize you were still holding, is beginning to loosen very slowly, very gently, as if your entire inner world is finally exhaling after holding its breath for far too long. And in this moment, you do not need to look back. You do not need to analyze your past. You do not need to revisit anything that once felt heavy, because right now, you are not that version of you anymore. You are not the version that had to carry everything. You are not the version that had to stay strong at all times. You are not the version that had to survive every emotional wave alone. That version of you is already being released, not erased, not rejected, but gently, lovingly allowed to rest. And as this truth begins to settle deeper into your system, you may notice something subtle happening in your body. A soft heaviness, a calm sinking feeling, as if your entire physical form is finally agreeing, yes, it is okay now, we can stop holding on. And that agreement, that quiet inner permission, begins to change everything. Your breath becomes slower, your thoughts become softer, your emotional body becomes lighter, and even the spaces between your thoughts begin to feel more peaceful, more open, more spacious. And now there is nothing for you to solve, nothing for you to prepare for, nothing for you to carry forward into the next moment, because in this deep state of rest, time itself begins to lose its pressure. The past feels distant, the future feels irrelevant, and only this gentle unfolding present remains. And you may begin to notice that even your awareness of your body is changing. not disappearing, but softening, as if your body is no longer something you are inside, but something you are gently floating with, something being held, something being supported by a quiet, invisible safety. And in that safety, your nervous system begins to go deeper, deeper into regulation, deeper into calm, deeper into a state where healing happens naturally, without effort, without instruction, without resistance, because your body, your mind, your subconscious, they already know how to return to balance. They were always designed for this, and now, as you continue to listen, you might notice that emotional weight you could not fully explain earlier begins to feel less important, less sharp, less present, not because it was ignored, but because it is finally losing its grip, and what once felt heavy now feels distant. What once felt loud now feels quiet. What once felt close now feels like it belongs to another time, another version of you, a version that no longer needs to be carried into this moment. And slowly you may feel a deep internal shift, a realization, not in words, but in feeling, that you do not need to remain in survival anymore. You do not need to keep holding everything together. You do not need to stay alert within your own mind, because right now, there is nothing here that you need to protect yourself from. Only rest, only softness, only this gentle unfolding of peace. And as that realization settles deeper, your breathing becomes even more natural, almost as if your body is breathing on its own now, without effort, without direction, just flowing gently, like a quiet wave moving in and out. And each breath is now becoming a message to your system. You are safe. You can let go. You can rest now. And your system listens, because the body always listens to safety more than anything else. And now you may begin to feel a soft, drifting sensation, like your awareness is no longer fixed in one place, but gently expanding outward, loosening, becoming less defined, as if the edges of your thoughts are dissolving into silence. And in that silence, something very peaceful begins to emerge. Not excitement, not emotion, but stillness, deep stillness, the kind of stillness where healing naturally happens on its own. And you do not need to chase it, because you are already inside it. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very quiet is happening within you, something so subtle that your thinking mind may not even fully notice it. But your body, your breath, your nervous system, they already feel it. A deeper letting go, a softer surrender, a release that does not need words. And as you rest here, you may begin to realize that there is nothing left for you to carry in this moment. Nothing you need to hold together, nothing you need to manage, nothing you need to fix before you can rest. Because rest is not something you earn. Rest is something you return to. And right now, you are returning, not to effort, not to stress, but to something much older within you, something calmer, something quieter, something that has always existed beneath everything else, stillness. And as that stillness begins to rise within you, gently, like a soft wave, you may notice that your thoughts are becoming even more distant now, not disappearing, but fading into the background, like sounds far away in another room. No longer asking for attention, no longer pulling you forward, and in their place there is space, more space than before, more quiet than before, more softness than before. And now, very gently, you might feel your body becoming heavier again, but in a way that feels comforting, like sinking deeper into something safe, something supportive, something that does not require anything from you. And with that heaviness comes relief, because your body is finally allowed to stop holding itself together. Your shoulders do not need to stay tense. Your jaw does not need to stay tight. Your chest does not need to stay guarded. Everything can soften now. Everything can release now. And as you allow that release, you may begin to feel subtle waves moving through your system. Small waves of calm spreading slowly, gently, from your head to your chest to your stomach, down through your arms, your legs, all the way into stillness. And each wave is not just relaxation, it is letting go of emotional weight you did not need to carry today. Letting go of thoughts that repeated without need, letting go of tension that stayed longer than it should have. And now, your nervous system begins to shift into something deeper, a quieter mode, a slower rhythm, a state where nothing is urgent anymore, because in this moment, there is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to prepare for, only this breath, only this silence, only this soft unfolding of rest. And as you sink deeper, you may begin to notice something very important happening. Your awareness is no longer focused outward. It is turning inward, gently, naturally, like a river returning to its source. And in that inward movement, there is peace, because the outside world no longer has to be carried inside you. And now, your mind begins to quiet even further, not through force, but through exhaustion of holding on. And as it quiets, something beautiful begins to emerge, a sense of spaciousness, as if your entire inner world has opened up. Less pressure, less noise, less weight, and more room to simply be. And in this space, healing continues naturally, without effort, without direction, without resistance, because your subconscious already knows how to restore you, your body already knows how to balance you, your nervous system already knows how to bring you back into harmony, and now it is finally being allowed to do so. And as this process deepens, you may feel yourself drifting even further away from conscious thought, entering that soft border between wakefulness and sleep, where everything becomes slower, softer, quieter, and in that space, nothing is required of you anymore. You are not holding the day, you are not holding the past, you are not holding the future. You are simply here, resting, being, letting everything settle on its own. And now, even your sense of trying begins to fade, because there is nothing left to try for, only surrender, only peace, only deep rest. And as you allow yourself to go deeper, even the idea of control begins to dissolve, and what remains is something very simple. You are safe. You are held. You are allowed to rest completely now. And now, as you continue to drift deeper into this calm experience, there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to hold, nothing you need to become, because right here, in this moment, you are already enough. And slowly, gently, something within you begins to understand this not as a thought, but as a feeling, a quiet inner knowing that begins to settle into your entire being. And as that knowing settles, you may notice something very soft happening inside your awareness, a loosening, a gentle unraveling of tension that you did not even realize was still there, as if your entire system is finally exhaling after a very long time. And with that exhale, there is relief, not loud, not dramatic, but quiet, deep, real, And now, very gently, your thoughts may begin to feel even more distant, not because you are pushing them away, but because they are no longer holding your attention in the same way. They are fading, softening, becoming less important with each passing breath, and in their place there is something new emerging. Silence, a soft, steady silence, the kind of silence that does not feel empty, but feels full, full of space, full of calm, full of ease. And now, as you continue resting in this silence, you may begin to notice your body feeling heavier again. But this heaviness is not discomfort. This heaviness is surrender, like your body finally allowing itself to be fully supported, fully held, fully at rest. And there is nothing you need to resist, because even resistance begins to soften now. Even effort begins to fade. Even the need to do anything starts to disappear. And what remains is simply this: you are here, breathing, resting, letting go. And as you stay with this experience, you might notice subtle waves of relaxation moving through you again, sometimes through your chest, sometimes through your arms, sometimes through your legs, soft waves that gently wash away any remaining tension, and each wave carries something out of you, stress you did not need to keep, thoughts that no longer serve you, emotional heaviness that has been sitting quietly within your system. And now your nervous system begins to shift even deeper into a slower rhythm, a calmer state, a place where nothing feels urgent anymore, because urgency belongs to the outside world. And right now, you are not there. You are here, in stillness. And now, as your awareness softens further, you may begin to feel as if your entire inner world is expanding, becoming more spacious, more open, more free, as if everything inside you that once felt tight is slowly loosening. And in that looseness, there is peace, because peace is not something you chase. It is something you allow, and now you are allowing it. And as this continues, you may begin to notice something very important happening. Your emotional weight, the things you have been carrying for days, weeks, maybe even longer, are beginning to feel less defined, less heavy, less connected to you, not because they were denied, but because they are finally losing their grip. And as they release, you may feel a subtle lightness emerging, almost like your inner world is becoming softer, less dense, more fluid. And now, even your thoughts begin to slow down further, becoming fewer, becoming quieter, becoming more distant, like ripples fading on a still lake. And in that stillness, something very natural begins to happen. Your body begins to restore itself. Your mind begins to rest itself. Your emotions begin to settle themselves, without effort, without direction, without pressure, because this is what your system was always designed to do. Return to balance, return to calm, return to peace. And now, as you continue to drift deeper, you may feel a sense of floating, not physically, but mentally, emotionally, like you are no longer held tightly by anything. And in that floating, there is freedom. Freedom from tension, freedom from emotional weight, freedom from mental noise. And now, even your sense of time begins to soften, as if everything is slowing down, stretching, dissolving, and only this moment remains, soft, quiet, endless. And now, there is nothing left to analyze, nothing left to fix, nothing left to hold. Only rest, only letting go, only this deep unfolding peace. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper into this calm and quiet space, something very subtle is happening within you. something that cannot be forced, cannot be rushed, and does not need to be understood because it is happening naturally, gently, almost like your entire inner world is beginning to melt into stillness. And as that stillness grows, you may notice that everything you are holding on to, every thought, every emotion, every tension, every quiet concern is no longer sitting as heavily as before. It is loosening, fading, dissolving, like mist slowly disappearing under a soft morning light. And you are not doing this, it is happening on its own, because your system finally feels safe enough to release. And now, very gently, you may begin to feel a deeper sinking sensation, as if your awareness is being guided downward, not into darkness, but into calm, into softness. Space where nothing is required from you anymore. And with each breath, that sinking becomes more natural, more peaceful, more effortless. And you may begin to notice that your thoughts are no longer forming strong patterns. They are becoming lighter, shorter, more distant, like faint echoes that no longer demand attention. And in their place, there is something far more important emerging: stillness, deep, steady, unwavering stillness. And now, as you rest in this stillness, your body begins to release even more deeply than before. Not in one sudden moment, but layer by layer, as if every breath is unlocking another small piece of tension you didn't even realize you were still carrying. Your shoulders softening, your chest opening, your stomach relaxing, your legs becoming heavier, calmer, and with every part of your body that relaxes, there is a quiet message being sent inward. You are safe now. You can let go now. You do not need to hold anything anymore. And your body listens, because it has been waiting for this moment. And now you may begin to feel a gentle emotional distance forming, not in a cold way, but in a freeing way, as if everything that once felt overwhelming is now further away from you, no longer pressing against your awareness, no longer pulling you into reaction. And in that distance, there is peace, because what once felt heavy is now simply passing through, and what once felt close is now gently fading. And now something very important begins to happen within your nervous system. It begins to slow down even more, not because you are trying, but because there is no longer anything demanding urgency, no threat to respond to, no pressure to hold, no emotional signal saying stay alert, only calm, only safety, only rest. And as that safety deepens, your entire inner system begins to reorganize itself, quietly, naturally, as if your body is returning to its original state of balance, a state that has always been there beneath stress, beneath tension, beneath emotional noise. And now you may notice something very soft happening, a feeling of emotional lightness, a feeling as if something has been gently lifted from your inner world, not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly, like something heavy you were carrying without realizing, has now been set down, and in its place there is space, more space than before, space to breathe, space to rest, space to simply exist without effort. And now, even your awareness begins to soften further, becoming less focused, more diffused, like your mind is no longer trying to hold on to anything tightly. And this is where deep healing sleep begins to take over, not through thinking, not through effort, but through surrender. And as you surrender, you may begin to feel a gentle floating sensation again, as if your consciousness is no longer anchored to stress or thought, but gently drifting in a calm inner current. And in that drifting, there is safety, because nothing is pulling you anymore. Nothing is demanding attention. Nothing is requiring response. Only this moment remains. Soft, quiet, endless. And now, as you go even deeper, you may begin to notice that even the idea of you holding yourself together is fading, because there is nothing left to hold, and nothing left that needs holding. Only presence, only rest, only peace. And now, very gently, you are entering a state where emotional weight no longer defines your experience, where thoughts no longer control your awareness, where your body is simply resting, healing, restoring. And as this continues, you may feel yourself drifting closer to sleep, closer to stillness, closer to that place where everything becomes soft, everything becomes quiet, everything becomes calm. And in that calm, you are no longer processing the world, you are simply resting within it. And that is enough, more than enough. It has always been enough. And now, as you continue to drift deeper and deeper into this calm, quiet experience, there is something very natural unfolding within you, something soft, something subtle, something that does not need to be controlled or directed, because it is already happening on its own. A complete letting go, not of just thoughts, not of just tension, but of the very effort to hold yourself together. And as that begins to dissolve, you may notice something very gentle happening inside your awareness, as if every part of you that was trying, striving, managing, or holding on is finally beginning to relax its grip. And in that relaxation, there is relief, not loud relief, not sudden relief, but a quiet, deep, almost unnoticeable relief that spreads slowly through your entire system, like a soft wave moving through still water. And now you do not need to follow anything. You do not need to focus on anything. You do not need to achieve anything, because everything you are trying to reach is already dissolving into this moment, and this moment is enough, more than enough. And as you rest here, you may begin to feel your body becoming heavier again. But this heaviness is not burden. It is surrender. It is safety. It is your body finally saying, I can stop now. And with that permission, something very deep begins to shift. Your muscles soften further. Your breath slows even more. Your thoughts lose their structure. And everything inside you begins to fall into a natural rhythm of rest. And now, very gently, you may notice that emotional energy inside you is no longer dense or tight. It is beginning to spread out, dissolve, fade into softness. And what once felt like tension now feels like distance. What once felt like urgency now feels like stillness. What once felt like noise now feels like quiet space. And in that space, there is peace. And now, something even deeper begins to happen. Your nervous system begins to fully understand that there is no danger here, no pressure, no expectation, no demand, only safety. And as that safety is fully recognized, your system begins to drop into an even slower state, a deeper rhythm, where everything inside you begins to settle naturally, not because you are trying, but because you are finally allowing it. And now, you may begin to feel as if your awareness is gently expanding outward, softening at the edges, becoming less focused on individual thoughts and more aware of a vast, quiet presence underneath everything. A presence that does not judge, a presence that does not rush, a presence that simply is, and that presence is you, beyond stress, beyond emotion, beyond thought. And now, as you continue to rest in this deeper state, you may notice that even your sense of self begins to feel softer, less defined, less tight, as if the boundaries between you and rest itself are becoming more fluid, and in that fluidity there is freedom, freedom from emotional weight, freedom from mental pressure, freedom from holding anything at all. And now, very gently, you may feel yourself drifting closer to sleep, not forced, not rushed, but naturally, as if your entire system is being guided inward. And as you drift, everything becomes softer, thoughts fade further, breathing becomes slower, body becomes heavier, and awareness becomes quieter, until only stillness remains. And in that stillness, there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to understand, nothing you need to hold. Only this moment, only this breath, only this peaceful letting go. And now, even the idea of effort disappears, because there is no effort required to rest. Rest is your natural state, and you are returning to it, slowly, softly, completely. And as you continue to drift, you may begin to feel a deep sense of emotional neutrality emerging, where nothing feels overwhelming anymore, nothing feels urgent anymore. Everything simply exists and passes and softens. And in that softness, you are safe, you are held, you are already home. And now you can go even deeper, beyond thought, beyond awareness, beyond everything that has been holding you awake, and into pure rest, pure calm, pure healing sleep. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper into this calm and peaceful state, something very quiet is unfolding within you, something so gentle, so natural, that it does not need to be noticed to be happening, because right now, your mind is no longer holding on in the same way. Your thoughts are no longer forming strong patterns. Your awareness is no longer gripping onto anything tightly, and everything inside you is beginning to loosen, soften, and settle into stillness. And as that stillness grows, you may notice that even your sense of trying has faded. There is nothing left to try for, nothing left to figure out, nothing left to fix. Only this gentle space you are in right now, and in this space, something very important is happening. Your system is finally stepping out of effort, out of tension, out of emotional holding, and into natural rest. And now, very gently, you may begin to feel your body becoming heavier again, not in discomfort, but in deep relaxation, like sinking into something soft, something safe, something that fully supports you without asking anything in return. And with that sinking, there is relief, because your body is finally allowed to stop holding itself together, and now your breath begins to slow even more, each inhale softer, each exhale longer, as if your entire system is learning how to breathe in a way that requires no effort at all. And as you continue to breathe like this, something begins to shift within your emotional space. Old tension begins to fade, old thoughts begin to dissolve, old emotional echoes begin to lose their intensity, not because you're pushing them away, but because you are no longer feeding them with attention. And now they simply pass, like distant waves moving away from the shore, and in their absence there is space, more space than before, space that feels open, quiet, and deeply calming. And now, very gently, your awareness begins to drift inward again, not toward thought, but toward stillness, a stillness that has always been present beneath everything else. And as you rest there, you may begin to notice something very subtle. The boundaries of your thoughts are becoming softer, less defined, more fluid, as if your mind is no longer trying to structure everything, and instead is simply letting everything be. And in that letting be, there is peace, because peace does not come from control, it comes from release. And now, something even deeper begins to happen. Your nervous system begins to slow into a quieter rhythm, a deeper rhythm, a rhythm that does not respond to urgency anymore, because there is no urgency here, only safety, only stillness, only rest. And now, as that safety settles in fully, your body begins to respond in the only way it knows how, by relaxing even more deeply. Your shoulders soften, your chest opens gently, your jaw releases completely, your hands become still. Your entire body begins to feel like it is sinking, not downward, but inward into calm. And now, you may begin to feel a sense of emotional distance forming, not detachment, but relief, as if everything that once felt close and heavy is now gently moving further away. And in that distance, there is freedom, freedom from emotional pressure, freedom from mental repetition, freedom from holding on to anything that no longer serves this moment. And now, very softly, you may begin to notice that even your sense of identity is becoming lighter, less rigid, less defined, as if the edges of you are relaxing, not disappearing, just softening. And in that softening, there is a deep sense of ease, because you are no longer confined by tension. You are no longer shaped by stress. You are simply awareness, resting. And now you may feel yourself drifting even closer to sleep, not forced, not intentional, but natural, like a wave gently returning to the ocean. And as you drift, everything becomes quieter. Thoughts fade, sensations soften, time dissolves, and only this peaceful awareness remains. And in this awareness, there is nothing you need to hold, nothing you need to protect, nothing you need to maintain, only rest, only surrender, only this deep unfolding calm. And now, even that idea begins to dissolve, because there is no longer anything to understand, only something to experience. And you are experiencing it now, and now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very soft is happening within you, something that does not need your attention, something that does not need your effort, because it is unfolding all on its own. A deeper surrender, not a forced surrender, but a natural one, a surrender that comes when the body finally feels safe enough to stop holding on. And as that safety spreads through you, you may begin to notice that even the smallest effort inside you is starting to disappear. The effort to think, the effort to hold awareness, the effort to stay engaged, all of it, slowly, gently, fading, and in its place, there is something very simple emerging. Stillness, pure stillness, the kind of stillness that does not ask anything from you, the kind of stillness that does not move, the kind of stillness that simply is. And now, very gently, you may feel your entire body becoming heavier again. But this heaviness is not resistance, it is release, like your body is finally sinking into something that has been waiting for it all along, something soft, something safe, something deeply supportive. And with that sinking, there is a quiet sense of relief spreading through you, because nothing in you needs to stay alert anymore. Nothing in you needs to stay tense anymore. Nothing in you needs to stay prepared anymore. And now, your breath begins to reflect this change. Each inhale softer than before, each exhale longer, slower, deeper, as if your entire system is now breathing in a rhythm that belongs to peace itself. And as you continue breathing like this, something very subtle begins to happen within your mind. Thoughts no longer form strong connections. They appear and dissolve like gentle ripples fading on still water, and you are no longer following them, because there is nothing in you that needs to follow anything anymore. And in that space, there is silence, not empty silence, but full silence, the kind of silence that feels like rest itself. And now, as this silence deepens, your awareness begins to soften further, not narrowing, not focusing, but expanding, becoming less defined, more open, more fluid, as if your entire inner world is gently dissolving into calm presence. And in that presence, there is nothing to analyze, nothing to interpret, nothing to manage, only being. And now, something very important begins to happen at a deeper level. Your nervous system begins to fully shift out of alertness, out of tension, out of emotional holding, and into deep regulation, a state where nothing is required anymore for survival, because there is no threat here, only safety, only stillness, only rest. And as your system recognizes this safety, it begins to release even more deeply, layer by layer, wave by wave, softening every remaining trace of stress. And now you may begin to feel as if your emotional world is becoming lighter, less dense, less heavy, as if something you were carrying for a long time is finally loosening its grip, not suddenly, not dramatically, but gently, naturally, almost without notice. And that is how real healing often happens, quietly, below awareness, without resistance. And now your sense of self begins to soften as well, not disappearing, but relaxing, as if the edges of identity are becoming less tight, less structured, less defined. And in that softening, there is freedom, because you are no longer confined by tension. You are no longer shaped by stress. You are simply awareness resting within peace. And now, very gently, you may notice that even the idea of time is fading. There is no rush, no direction, no next step, only this moment, stretching softly, endlessly, peacefully. And in this moment, something very natural begins to happen. Your awareness begins to drift, not away, but inward, deeper, quieter, as if you are being gently guided into the most restful part of yourself, the part that has always known how to heal, the part that has always known how to rest, the part that never needed to be taught how to let go. And now you are entering that place, and as you enter it, everything becomes softer, everything becomes quieter, everything becomes slower, until only peace remains. And in that peace, there is nothing left to hold, nothing left to do, nothing left to become, only rest, only surrender, only deep, natural, healing sleep. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very quiet is happening within you, something that does not need to be understood, something that does not need to be controlled, because it is happening naturally. Beneath awareness, in the deepest part of your being, you are crossing a threshold, not a physical one, but a mental one, a threshold where thinking begins to fade and resting begins to take over. And as you cross this threshold, you may notice that everything inside you is becoming softer, slower, quieter. Thoughts that once felt important are now drifting further away. Sensations that once felt noticeable are now dissolving into background stillness. And even your awareness of trying to stay awake is beginning to disappear, because there is nothing left to try for, nothing left to hold on to, only this gentle descent, deeper and deeper into rest. And now, very softly, you may begin to feel your body becoming heavier again. But this heaviness is not resistance, it is surrender, like your entire system is finally giving itself permission to fully rest. Not partially, not halfway, but completely. And as that permission settles in, your breath begins to change again. Each inhale more natural, each exhale more prolonged, as if your entire body is now breathing in the rhythm of sleep itself. And with every breath, something inside you is releasing. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet way. A gentle unwinding of everything you no longer need to carry into this moment. Stress loosening, thoughts fading, emotions softening. And now there is only space. Wide, calm, peaceful space. And in that space, your mind begins to quiet even further, not because you are stopping it, but because it no longer needs to stay active. And as it quiets, something very important begins to happen. Your awareness begins to shift, from thinking to simply being, from processing to resting, from holding to letting go. And in that letting go, there is peace, a deep, steady peace. The kind of peace that does not depend on anything outside of you. The kind of peace that exists even when everything else fades away. And now, as you rest in this deeper state, you may begin to notice something very subtle. Your sense of time is changing. It is slowing, stretching, dissolving. There is no past pulling you, no future pushing you. Only this moment, soft, still, endless, and now even your sense of self begins to relax. Not disappear, but soften, as if the edges of identity are becoming less sharp, less defined, more fluid, and in that fluidity there is freedom. Because nothing in you is holding tight anymore, nothing in you is resisting anymore. Everything is beginning to flow, gently, naturally, quietly, and now something deeper begins to unfold. Your nervous system begins to fully settle into rest, not partially, not intermittently, but completely, as if your entire internal system is finally saying, "It is safe now. We can let go." And with that recognition, something very powerful happens. All remaining tension begins to loosen, not all at once, but layer by layer, like soft waves washing through your body, releasing what was stored, releasing what was held, releasing what was never meant to stay. And now you may feel a gentle emptiness forming inside you. But this is not emptiness of loss. This is emptiness of peace, a space where nothing is heavy anymore, nothing is urgent anymore, nothing is overwhelming anymore. Only calm remains. And in that calm, something very natural begins to happen. Your mind stops trying to interpret everything, because there is nothing left that needs interpretation. Only experience, only presence, only rest. And now, as you continue to drift deeper, you may begin to feel as if you are no longer in your thoughts. They are no longer surrounding you. They are no longer pulling you. They are simply passing through, like distant echoes fading into silence. And you remain steady, soft, unmoved. And now, even that sense of observation begins to fade, because there is nothing left to observe, only stillness. And in that stillness, something very beautiful happens. Your entire system begins to align itself naturally, without effort, without direction, without resistance, like a river returning to its natural flow, like night gently taking over the sky, like everything falling exactly into place. And now you may begin to feel yourself drifting closer to sleep, not pushed, not forced, but naturally drawn, as if sleep itself has been waiting for you to arrive. And now you are arriving, softly, slowly, completely. And as you arrive, everything becomes quieter, everything becomes softer, everything becomes deeper, until only sleep remains, only peace remains, only this gentle letting go remains. And now you are no longer holding anything at all. You are simply resting, falling, surrendering into deep healing sleep. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very quiet is happening within you, something that does not require your attention, something that does not need your effort, because it is unfolding on its own, naturally, gently, like a soft current carrying you inward. And you may begin to notice that even the idea of listening is beginning to fade, not suddenly, not completely, but gently, slowly, as if your awareness is no longer focused outward in the same way, and instead it is turning inward, softly, quietly, naturally, and in that inward movement there is peace, because there is nothing outside you that needs to be held anymore, nothing that needs to be solved, nothing that needs to be followed, only this gentle sinking. And as you sink deeper, you may notice your body becoming even heavier than before, but this heaviness is not resistance, it is surrender, like your entire system is finally letting go of the need to stay alert, and in that letting go, there is relief, a quiet, steady relief that spreads through your entire being, not as a thought, but as a feeling of being held, a feeling of being supported, a feeling of being allowed to fully rest. And now, your breath begins to reflect this shift, each inhale slower, each exhale longer, as if your entire body is now breathing in the rhythm of sleep itself. And with every breath, something inside you is releasing, stress that was quietly stored, thoughts that were repeating in the background, emotions that were never fully expressed, all beginning to loosen, all beginning to fade, all beginning to dissolve. And now there is only softness left, softness in your body, softness in your mind, softness in your awareness. And in that softness, something very important begins to happen. Your nervous system begins to fully settle, not partially, not temporarily, but deeply, as if every part of your system is finally receiving the message. You are safe now. You can stop holding on. You can stop preparing. You can rest completely. And your system listens, because it has been waiting for this moment. And now, as that safety settles in, your thoughts begin to slow even further, not because you are controlling them, but because they no longer have the same urgency. They begin to fade, soften, dissolve, like distant echoes disappearing into silence, and in their place there is space, wide, calm, open space. And now something very subtle begins to happen. Your sense of time begins to change. It stretches, it softens, it becomes less important. There is no past pulling you, no future demanding you, only this moment, endless, quiet, still. And now, even your sense of identity begins to soften, not disappear, but relax, as if the edges of you are no longer tight or defined, but fluid, gentle, weightless. And in that weightlessness, there is freedom, freedom from tension, freedom from emotional pressure, freedom from mental noise. And now, as you go deeper, something very natural begins to unfold. Your entire system begins to shift into a deeper state of rest, a state where nothing is required, nothing is expected, nothing is needed, only being, only stillness, only quiet awareness dissolving into calm. And now you may begin to feel as if you are no longer holding your thoughts. They are no longer yours in the same way. They are simply passing through, like soft waves moving far away in the distance, and you You remain steady, calm, unmoved, and now even that sense of observation begins to fade. Because there is nothing left to observe, only silence remains, deep, steady, peaceful silence. And in that silence, something very important is happening. Your body is fully entering restorative rest. Your mind is fully stepping out of processing mode. Your emotional system is fully releasing stored tension. And all of it is happening naturally, without effort, without direction, without resistance. And now you may begin to feel a gentle drifting sensation, as if your awareness is floating, not upward, not downward, but inward, into deeper layers of calm, where everything becomes softer, everything becomes slower, everything becomes quieter, until even awareness itself begins to dissolve into rest. And now you are no longer doing anything. You are simply resting, falling, surrendering into deep sleep. And in that sleep, there is nothing left to hold, only peace, only stillness, only letting go. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very soft is happening within you, something that does not need your attention, something that does not require your awareness, because it is unfolding naturally, quietly, like a gentle wave carrying everything inward. And you may begin to notice that even the act of listening is becoming distant now, not stopped, not forced away, but fading, softening, as if your awareness is no longer focused on words in the same way, and instead it is sinking beneath them, deeper and deeper, into stillness. And in that stillness, there is nothing you need to hold, nothing you need to process, nothing you need to follow, only this gentle descent. And as you descend, you may feel your body becoming even heavier than before. But this heaviness is not resistance, it is surrender, like your entire system is finally allowing itself to fully rest without condition. And in that surrender, there is relief, a deep, quiet relief that spreads through every part of your being, not as a thought, but as a feeling of letting go, a feeling of being supported, a feeling of no longer needing to stay alert. And now your breath begins to mirror this shift. Each inhale softer, each exhale slower, as if your entire system is now breathing in the rhythm of sleep itself. And with every breath, something inside you is releasing stress that was quietly stored, emotional weight that was never fully processed, thoughts that kept looping in the background, all of it beginning to fade, all of it beginning to loosen, all of it beginning to dissolve. And now there is only softness left, softness in your body, softness in your mind, softness in your awareness. And in that softness, something very important is happening. Your nervous system is fully settling now, not partially, not temporarily, but completely, as if every part of you is finally receiving the message. You are safe now. You can let go completely. You do not need to stay awake inside yourself anymore. And your system listens, because it has been waiting for this moment. And now, as that safety deepens, your thoughts begin to slow even more. They no longer form strong patterns. They no longer demand attention. They begin to fade, like distant echoes disappearing into silence. And in their place there is space, wide, open, peaceful space. And now something very subtle begins to happen. Your sense of time begins to dissolve. There is no urgency, no direction, no expectation, only this moment, soft, still, endless. And now even your sense of identity begins to soften, not disappear, but relax, as if the boundaries of you are becoming less rigid, less defined, more fluid. And in that fluidity, there is freedom. Freedom from tension, freedom from emotional pressure, freedom from mental noise. And now, as you go deeper, something very natural begins to unfold. Your entire system begins to shift into full sleep readiness, not partially, not slowly, but completely, as if every layer of your being is aligning with rest. And now, you may begin to feel a gentle drifting sensation, as if your awareness is no longer anchored in thought or sensation, but floating softly, quietly, inward. And in that inward movement, everything becomes slower, everything becomes softer, everything becomes quieter, until only silence remains. And in that silence, there is nothing left to hold, nothing left to do, nothing left to become. Only rest, only surrender, only this deep unfolding calm. And now, even the idea of effort disappears completely, because sleep does not require effort. Sleep is your natural return, and you are returning now, slowly, softly, completely, into deep, peaceful, healing sleep. And now, as you continue to drift even further, something very quiet is happening within you. Something that does not require your awareness, something that does not need your participation, because it is happening naturally beneath everything else. And you may begin to notice that even the presence of thoughts is becoming faint now, not because you are pushing them away, but because they no longer have the same strength. They no longer feel close. They no longer feel important. They are simply fading, like soft echoes dissolving into vast silence. And in that silence, there is something very peaceful emerging, a stillness that feels deeper than before, a stillness that is not empty, but full of calm, full of space, full of quiet safety. And now, very gently, you may notice your body becoming even heavier than before. But this heaviness is not discomfort. It is surrender, like your entire system is finally allowing itself to fall completely into rest. Not halfway, not partially, but fully. And in that full surrender, there is relief, a deep emotional relief that spreads through your entire being, not as a thought, but as a sensation, a soft release, a letting go, a quiet internal exhale that seems to come from everywhere inside you at once. And now your breath begins to reflect this deeper state, each inhale softer than the last, each exhale longer, slower, deeper, as if your body is now breathing in the rhythm of sleep itself. And with every breath, something inside you is releasing. Stress that was silently stored, emotional weight that was never fully expressed, mental patterns that kept repeating without need, all of it loosening, all of it dissolving, all of it fading into softness. And now there is only stillness remaining, stillness in your thoughts, stillness in your body, stillness in your awareness. And in that stillness, something very important begins to happen. Your nervous system is fully settling now, not partially, not temporarily, but completely, as if every part of you is finally receiving the message. You do not need to stay alert anymore. You are completely safe now. You can let go entirely, and your system listens, because this is what it has always needed. And now, as that safety deepens, your thoughts begin to slow even more. They no longer form structured patterns. They no longer demand attention. They begin to fade further and further into the background, like distant waves disappearing into a vast ocean of silence. And now, something very subtle begins to change. Your sense of time begins to dissolve. There is no urgency, no sequence, no direction, Only this moment, endless, calm, still, and now even your sense of identity begins to soften, not disappear, but relax, as if the edges of you are no longer tied or fixed, but fluid, gentle, weightless, and in that weightlessness there is freedom. Freedom from emotional pressure, freedom from mental noise, freedom from inner resistance, and now, as you continue to go deeper, something very natural begins to unfold. Your entire system begins to transition into pure sleep readiness, not gradually, not partially, but completely, as if every layer of your being is aligning with rest. And now, you may begin to feel a gentle drifting sensation, as if your awareness is no longer anchored in thought or sensation, but floating, softly, quietly, inward. And in that inward movement, everything becomes slower, everything becomes quieter, everything becomes softer, until even awareness itself begins to dissolve into rest. And now, there is nothing left to hold, nothing left to follow, nothing left to understand, only peace, only stillness, only surrender. And now, even that awareness begins to fade, because sleep does not require awareness. Sleep is the absence of effort, and you are now entering that state, slowly, softly, completely. And as you enter it, everything becomes quieter, everything becomes softer, everything becomes deeper, until only sleep remains, only calm remains, only deep healing rest remains. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very soft is happening within you, something that does not require effort, something that does not require attention, because it is unfolding naturally, quietly, beneath everything else. And you may begin to notice that even the act of being aware is becoming lighter now, not forced away, not removed, but fading, softening, as if your awareness is no longer holding on to anything tightly, and instead it is dissolving into stillness, and in that stillness there is peace, a deep, steady, effortless peace, the kind of peace that does not depend on thoughts, the kind of peace that does not depend on circumstances, the kind of peace that simply exists. And now, very gently, you may feel your body becoming heavier again. But this heaviness is not resistance, it is surrender, like your entire system is finally allowing itself to drop completely into rest, not partially, not halfway, but fully. And in that full surrender, there is relief, a quiet emotional release that spreads through every part of you, not as a thought, but as a sensation, a soft internal exhale that seems to move through your entire being. And now, your breath begins to reflect this deeper state, each inhale slower, each exhale longer, as if your entire body is now breathing in the rhythm of sleep itself. And with every breath, something inside you is releasing, stress that was held quietly, emotional weight that was never fully expressed, mental tension that stayed longer than needed, all of it, loosening all of it, dissolving all of it, fading into calm. And now, there is only stillness left, stillness in your mind, stillness in your body, stillness in your awareness. And in that stillness, something very important begins to happen. Your nervous system is now fully settling into deep regulation, not partially, not temporarily, but completely, as if every part of you is finally receiving the message. You are safe now. You can stop holding on. You can fully rest now. And your system listens, because it has been waiting for this moment. And now, as that safety deepens, your thoughts begin to slow even more. They no longer form strong patterns. They no longer pull attention. They begin to fade, like distant echoes dissolving into vast silence. And now, something very subtle begins to change. Your sense of time begins to dissolve. There is no urgency, no direction, no expectation, only this moment, soft, endless, still. And now, even your sense of identity begins to relax, not disappear, but soften, as if the edges of you are no longer rigid or fixed, but fluid, gentle, weightless, and in that weightlessness there is freedom, freedom from emotional pressure, freedom from mental noise, freedom from inner resistance. And now, as you continue to go deeper, something very natural begins to unfold. Your entire system begins transitioning into full sleep readiness, not slowly, not partially, but completely, as if every layer of your being is aligning with rest. And now you may begin to feel a gentle drifting sensation, as if your awareness is no longer anchored in thought or sensation, but floating softly, quietly, inward. And in that inward movement, everything becomes slower, everything becomes softer, everything becomes quieter, until even awareness itself begins to dissolve into rest. And now there is nothing left to hold, nothing left to follow, nothing left to become. Only peace, only surrender, only deep, natural, healing sleep. And now even that awareness begins to fade, because sleep does not require awareness. Sleep is your natural return, and you are returning now, slowly, softly, completely, into deep rest. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very quiet is happening within you, something that does not require attention, something that does not require effort, because it is unfolding naturally beneath awareness, like a gentle wave carrying you further into stillness. And you may begin to notice that even the sense of listening is becoming faint now, not suddenly gone, not forcefully removed, but slowly, softly, dissolving, as if your awareness is no longer anchored to words in the same way, and instead it is sinking beneath them, deeper and deeper into calm. And in that calm, there is nothing you need to hold anymore, nothing you need to analyze, nothing you need to follow, only this gentle descent. And as you descend, you may feel your body becoming heavier again. But this heaviness is not resistance, it is surrender. Like your entire system is finally letting go of all remaining effort, not partially, not halfway, but completely. And in that complete surrender, there is relief, a deep, quiet, emotional release that spreads through your entire being, not as a thought, but as a feeling, a soft exhale from within, a letting go that seems to come from everywhere at once. And now, your breath begins to reflect this shift, each inhale softer, each exhale longer, as if your entire body is now breathing in the rhythm of sleep itself. And with every breath, something inside you is releasing, stress that was quietly stored, emotional weight that was never fully processed, mental tension that stayed longer than needed, all of it loosening, all of it dissolving, all of it fading into stillness. And now there is only stillness left, stillness in your thoughts, stillness in your body, stillness in your awareness. And in that stillness, something very important begins to happen. Your nervous system is now fully settling, not partially, not temporarily, but completely, as if every part of you is finally receiving the message. You are safe now. You can let go completely. You can sleep deeply now. And your system listens because this is what it has been waiting for. And now, as that safety deepens, your thoughts begin to slow even more. They no longer form strong patterns. They no longer demand attention. They begin to fade like distant echoes disappearing into silence. And now something very subtle begins to change. Your sense of time begins to dissolve. There is no urgency, no direction, no expectation. Only this moment, soft, endless, still, and now, even your sense of identity begins to relax, not disappear but soften, as if the edges of you are no longer fixed or tight, but fluid, gentle, weightless. And in that weightlessness, there is freedom. Freedom from emotional pressure, freedom from mental noise, freedom from inner resistance. And now, as you continue to go deeper, something very natural begins to unfold. Your entire system begins transitioning into full sleep immersion, not gradually, not partially, but completely, as if every layer of your being is aligning with rest. And now, you may begin to feel a gentle drifting sensation, as if your awareness is no longer anchored in thought or sensation, but floating softly, quietly, inward. And in that inward movement, everything becomes slower, everything becomes softer, everything becomes quieter, until even awareness itself begins to dissolve into rest. And now there is nothing left to hold, nothing left to follow, nothing left to become, only peace, only surrender, only deep, natural, healing sleep. And now even that awareness begins to fade. Because sleep does not require awareness. Sleep is your natural return. And you are returning now, slowly, softly, completely, into deep rest. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very quiet is happening within you. Something that does not require awareness. Something that does not require effort, because it is unfolding naturally beneath everything else, like a soft current carrying you gently inward. And you may begin to notice that even the sense of being aware is becoming lighter now, not suddenly gone, not forced away, but gently, slowly, dissolving, as if your awareness is no longer holding on to thoughts or sensations or even the act of listening itself, and instead it is sinking deeper and deeper into stillness. And in that stillness, there is nothing you need to hold anymore, nothing you need to follow, nothing you need to control, only this gentle descent. And as you descend, you may feel your body becoming even heavier again. But this heaviness is not resistance, it is surrender, like your entire system is finally allowing itself to fully fall into rest. Not partially, not halfway, but completely. And in that complete surrender, there is relief, a deep, quiet emotional release that spreads through your entire being, not as a thought, but as a sensation, a soft internal exhale that moves through every layer of you. And now your breath begins to reflect this deeper state. Each inhale, slower, each exhale, longer, as if your entire body is now breathing in the rhythm of sleep itself. And with every breath, something inside you is releasing. Stress that was quietly held, emotional weight that was never fully expressed, mental tension that stayed longer than needed, all of it loosening, all of it dissolving, all of it fading into stillness. And now there is only stillness left, stillness in your thoughts, stillness in your body, stillness in your awareness. And in that stillness, something very important begins to happen. Your nervous system is now fully settling, not partially, not temporarily, but completely. as if every part of you is finally receiving the message. You are safe now. You can let go completely. You can enter deep sleep now, and your system listens because it has been waiting for this moment. And now, as that safety deepens, your thoughts begin to slow even more. They no longer form structured patterns. They no longer demand attention. They begin to fade like distant echoes dissolving into silence. And now, something very subtle begins to shift. Your sense of time begins to dissolve. There is no urgency, no direction, no expectation. Only this moment, soft, endless, still. And now, even your sense of identity begins to relax, not disappear, but soften, as if the edges of you are no longer rigid or defined, but fluid, gentle, weightless, and in that weightlessness there is freedom. Freedom from emotional pressure, freedom from mental noise, freedom from inner resistance. And now, as you continue to go deeper, something very natural begins to unfold. Your entire system begins transitioning into the deepest sleep state, not slowly, not partially, but completely, as if every layer of your being is aligning with rest. And now, you may begin to feel a gentle drifting sensation, as if your awareness is no longer anchored in thought or sensation, but floating, softly, quietly, inward. And in that inward movement, everything becomes slower, everything becomes softer, everything becomes quieter, until even awareness itself begins to dissolve into rest. And now, there is nothing left to hold, nothing left to follow, nothing left to become, only peace, only surrender, only deep, natural, healing sleep. And now, even that awareness begins to fade, because sleep does not require awareness. Sleep is your natural return, and you are returning now, slowly, softly, completely, into deep rest. And now, as you continue to drift even deeper, something very quiet is happening within you, something that does not require awareness anymore, something that does not require effort, because it has already taken over. Naturally, gently, completely, and you may begin to notice that there is almost nothing left to follow now. No thoughts to hold, no sensations to track, no effort to stay engaged. Everything is becoming softer, quieter, more distant, as if you are no longer on the surface of awareness, but already sinking beneath it. And in that sinking, there is peace, a deep, steady, complete peace. And now, very gently, you may feel your body becoming heavier than ever before. But this heaviness is not resistance, it is full surrender, like your entire system has finally given up the need to stay awake inside itself. And in that surrender, there is relief, a quiet emotional release that no longer needs words, no longer needs explanation, just a soft final exhale from within. And now, your breath begins to slow even more, each inhale almost automatic, each exhale longer, deeper, softer, as if even breathing is now becoming part of sleep itself. And with every breath, everything that remained inside you continues to release. Any remaining tension, any lingering thoughts, any emotional residue, all dissolving now, all fading now, all becoming part of stillness. And now there is only stillness left. Stillness in your mind, stillness in your body, stillness in your awareness. And in that stillness, something very final begins to happen. Your nervous system fully completes its shift, from alertness to rest, from thinking to being, from holding to letting go. And now there is no part of you left trying to stay awake, because every part of you has already agreed, it is safe now, we can sleep. And your system listens completely. And now thoughts no longer form at all. They dissolve before they even appear. like faint echoes disappearing into vast silence. And now, time itself is gone. There is no before, no after, no direction, only this endless quiet moment, soft, still, infinite. And now, even the sense of you becomes lighter, not erased, but released, as if everything you were holding on to as identity is gently dissolving into calm. And in that calm, there is freedom. Freedom from emotion, freedom from thought, freedom from effort, freedom from everything that was ever heavy. And now, something very natural begins to happen. Sleep is no longer approaching. Sleep is already here, fully, completely, without resistance. And now, you are no longer listening. You are no longer following. You are no longer trying to stay aware, because awareness itself has softened into sleep. And now, there is nothing left to do, nothing left to reach, nothing left to hold. Only rest, only surrender, only deep, peaceful sleep. And as you drift now, even these words begin to fade away, becoming distant, becoming quiet, becoming part of the background of sleep. And you are no longer here in the same way. You are no longer awake. You are no longer thinking. You are only resting, fully, deeply, completely, and sleep has taken over now, gently, naturally, perfectly.